Has the TPU inner tube killed off road tubeless once and for all? Was tubeless on road bikes a con, a failed experiment, or just misunderstood, a lack of standards, ensuring it never really caught on? It seems plenty in the bike media and the bike world generally are talking right now about the death of road tubeless, given the advent of lightweight and reasonably affordable TPU inner tubes. But is that really the case? Well, today I want to talk about the pros and cons of both systems, the benefits and downsides, and share my personal experience. And before I go on, this video is not sponsored by any bike brands. I have no hidden agenda. It really is my unbiased, personal, genuine thoughts on both systems. Now, I have been running road tubeless for nearly 10 years now, and I love it. Yes, I'm definitely not on the fence with road tubeless. It works for me. And I'll be honest, there have been opportunities for me to abandon tubeless technology on road bikes when tyres have failed to inflate on a road wheel in recent years as well. But I persevered. I stuck with tubeless, as I'll share the reason why in today's video. So, tubeless, TPU, what camp are you in? Let me know by dropping a comment down below. So let's start with tubeless, some of the pros and cons and the reasons I have stuck with the technology on my road bikes for the last 10 years. The biggest reason I've stuck by road tubeless all these years and persevered when sometimes the tyres have not inflated onto the rims is for minimizing punctures. It's not for rolling resistance or weight benefits, it's for minimizing punctures, because I hate getting punctures on any bike ride. It's an easy way to ruin your bike ride, your experience of riding a bike. And yes, some people will say it only takes 5 minutes to change an inner tube, but that 5 minutes I don't want to spend by the side of the road, especially when it's cold, dark and wet. And the light bulb moment for me for road tubeless and why I've stuck with it for so long and persevered through the highs and lows, it's about 10 years ago riding my winter road bike through the winter here in the Cotswolds with road tubeless, an early stands setup. I got a puncture on the back tyre and sealant sprayed out, but it sealed a hole, and it meant I was able to carry on riding without stopping. Didn't have to stop by the side of the road, take my gloves off, get cold and miserable trying to change an inner tube on the side of a road, and I carried on. I carried on my loop and got home, and I stayed warm and reasonably dry and didn't have the displeasure of changing an inner tube on the side of the road. And that for me was the turning point that really got me on to the benefits of tubeless and why I've stuck with it through thick and thin, for that benefit of minimizing having to stop by the side of the road. And people will say in the comment section right now that it only takes 5 minutes to change an inner tube. Well, maybe in a studio or maybe in perfect conditions, but doesn't always take 5 minutes. When it's cold and your hands are frozen, you lost a feeling in your fingers, as I often do in the winter, yeah, dealing with the axle and the tyre levers, and it's just horrible. Glass in there, you might get another puncture. Just not something I want to do, and that's why tubeless works for me. So for me, tubeless is all about punctures and minimizing the risk of punctures. And I can genuinely say I've only had 2 occasions when I've had a catastrophic puncture, in that I've had to take a tyre off and put an inner tube in. One was on a road bike on a chain gang, and I smashed into a pothole unseen and sliced through a tyre. And the second was on a bike packing trip in Wales, and I had a nightmare of 3 or 4 punctures, slashed the sidewall. It was a bad situation, but I have had to plug a tyre many times, but in my experience, it works really well. You lose some air pressure when you get that puncture, but you put your finger over it to stop the air loss, put a plug in there, pump it back up to your desired pressure and carry on. And on a set of Pirelli P0s I've been testing all year, I've had 2 punctures and therefore 2 plugs, and I carried on riding. I trimmed the plug and carried on riding. It meant that tyre hasn't been written off, and it meant I've not had to stop and fix a puncture. And the other thing as well, I was removing a tyre a few weeks ago, one that had been on a bike for a long time, that never punctured, but upon removing the tyre from the rim and cleaning out the sealant and inspecting the tyre, I realised there were several thorns and bits of glass in the tyre that I had no idea were there, because they'd never punctured a tyre, and that probably 5 or 6 punches I avoided, and 5 or 6 times 5 minutes of changing inner tubes. So it's not just the obvious punctures that it saves me from, but the less obvious one from glass and flint that goes in the tyre that you have no idea has punctured a tyre because sealant has done its job. So for me, that is a bigger pro to tubeless over any inner tube, even TPU inner tubes. Now, I'll admit, tubeless on road bikes does work best with wide tyres and low pressures, especially hookless with a low max inflation of 72.5 psi. These days I run 30s, 32mm wide tyres on my road race bikes and using wide rims, and I don't weigh much more than 70 kilos, so I don't have to run big pressures. I can run 50, 55 psi, and that's perfect for my riding. I like the feel of low pressures. I got used to the way a low pressure tyre feels, and I believe all the benefits of lower rolling resistance from that contact patch size and shape on the road. But I'll admit, if you're a heavier rider and you're running narrow tyres, the higher pressure could be an issue for you running tubeless successfully, as it has worked for me. So yeah, that's the first of the con. But the biggest downside to tubeless over the years has been installation of tyres and rims, and the tyres not inflating and needing special pumps and compressors to inflate the tyre onto the rim. So that's a big fail straight away. But in my experience, with the latest rims and tyres designed to the same ETRTO standards, they now play together much more nicely, and very often inflation is available with a regular track pump, no special tricks or compressors needed. But there are a few combos out there that don't work so well. And the other downside is, of course, the sealant mess that can be caused either during installation or when you get a puncture. And we've all seen videos on the internet of tyres exploding with rims or punctures, spraying sealant all over the riders behind the punctured rider. So that is a downside of the mess. And when you change a tyre, replace a tyre, you have like sealant mess to deal with, if it's dried out or not. And also maintaining a sealant on bikes, because it does dry out over months and years, so something else to maintain. And yeah, the mess can be a downside, but can be minimized through careful installation. And like I say, I've only had one catastrophic failure when I've had to take the tyre off and put an inner tube in, and there's sealant everywhere. And for me personally, I've not had enough disasters with tubeless and sealant mess everywhere to abandon tubeless technology. If it happened all the time, and I'm being honest here, I might have abandoned tubeless a long time ago. The other downside to tubeless is it's not actually much lighter than a regular setup. A tubeless tyre is reinforced with a special bead compared to a inner tube based tyre, so they are heavier, and there's a weight of 60mm of sealant, which is heavier than a non-tubeless tyre and a lightweight TPU inner tube like this one here. These are very lightweight, nothing to them, a thermoplastic, very lightweight. So that and a non-tubeless tyre will be lighter than that setup. But on my weight weenie, I don't care about the weight so much, so for me, it's not an issue. But if you are a weight weenie, then that might be the way to go. And in terms of rolling resistance, between the two systems, there's not much in it, and latex still tests the best on the bicycle rolling resistance website than tubeless or TPU. Another downside to tubeless is it does require some knowledge on your part in terms of the compatibility of the tyres and the rims and the installation process, because fitting an inner tube to a wheel is much easier. Most people know how to do that. It's very simple and straightforward, but with tubeless, there's a bit of a knack and a bit of know-how required, but there's plenty of content out there. I've done videos on how to fit tubeless, and like I say, these days with the latest tyres and rims, it's much easier than ever before. Main thing for me is to fit the tyre dry, get it inflated on the rim, and then use one of these injectors to inject the sealant through the valve core, remove the valve core and use that bad boy there. And that does minimize the mess a lot. And so to TPU inner tubes. These have become so popular over the last few years and largely responsible for the downfall to some of road tubeless, because they're lightweight, lighter than the regular boot-tail inner tubes that come on road bikes and nearly as light as a latex inner tube. And the benefit of being very small, so a great spare inner tube in your saddlebag. And the roll resistance benefits are as good as tubeless and latex, and they are reasonably puncture resistant, but there are a few issues I don't think enough people talk about with how well or not these resist punctures in a few minutes. So lightweight, good rolling resistance, very packable, and they work very easily. Like any inner tube, they are easy to install, takes 5 minutes to fit, no special tools or know-how or knowledge required to fit one of these inner tubes to your favorite rims and tyres. No mess either, no sealant mess to go everywhere. So yes, I can see why TPU have become so popular and really does threaten road tubeless when it's this simple and this lightweight. But there is one big downside to TPU inner tubes that I don't think enough people are talking about, and that's punctures and failures. So I did a bikepacking trip across Wales several years ago, and I was running tubeless with WTB tyres, and I had a nightmare of punctures on a very rocky section, slashed the sidewall in multiple places, and too big a cut for the plugs to fix. So I had TPU spares in my bikepacking bag, but for some reason they both failed. I still don't know whether they were dead on arrival, as in an issue with a valve or a hole in the TPU, maybe from the factory or from being in my saddlebag, or whether somehow they got punctured when fitting to the wheels and tyres, even though I'm very careful and trying to avoid tyre levers where possible. But both TPU inner tubes didn't hold air, and I had to fit a boot-tail inner tube I bought from a bike shop further down the road. So yes, they are lightweight and great as spares, but if they fail on you, they're pointless. I also had this happen on my road bike last year, a CAD 12 I rebuilt with a Shimano 105 group set and put TPU inner tubes in there. And I was on a ride and one punctured, but it's fine, I thought. I had a spare, but the spare didn't inflate, it wouldn't hold air. And for me, it sowed a seed of doubt in my mind about the reliability of TPU as a spare inner tube, whether running these in your tyres or running tubeless and having these as spares. So for me, I'm not sold or convinced on how puncture resistant these inner tubes are. But what are your experiences? What are your thoughts on punctures with TPU inner tubes? Love to hear your experiences by dropping a comment down below. So I think being pragmatic, there are benefits to both tubeless and TPU inner tubes. And it depends what you want. If you want simplicity, then TPU is definitely a way to go. Easy to fit, no mess, they're inexpensive these days, they're lightweight, the rolling resistance benefits are good, but if you want to minimize punctures, as I do, then for me, tubeless is the way to go. And yes, there have been disasters in the past, but these days, in my experience, the reason I still use it is because it's more reliable than ever before, with easier, better compatibility of modern tyres and rims, and much easier installation. And in my experience, hand on heart, very few punctures and very few catastrophic failures. So for me, weighing out the pros and cons of both, I can see the benefits of both, but for me, I'm still road tubeless. I'm still a champion of tubeless road tyres. I just think the benefits outweigh the downsides. And that's my honest, unbiased opinion on road tubeless. So I thought it'd be interesting to make a video on this topic because it seems to be quite relevant at the moment, with lots of people talking about the death of road tubeless, which is definitely a bit clickbaity, but I can see where people are coming from, because some people have tried and invested in road tubeless and it's not worked for one reason or another. So if it doesn't work for you, you tried it, don't like it, then stick with TPU, that's fine, use whatever you want. But I'm going to stick with tubeless, thank you very much. So those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know by dropping a comment down below. And if you do want to see a video on how to install tubeless tyres with a pro bike mechanic, then watch the video right up here. And if you want more videos like this on a regular basis, then make sure you are subscribed. Hit that button right there. But that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very, very soon.